Hello everybody, this is Brian from the Western Wanderers, and today we are hiking at Lake Ingalls. It's a little cold this morning, as you can see by my gloves and hat. We're up at about, I think, 4,000 feet at the trailhead here. We'll be hiking up to around 6,500. That's the highest point on this hike. So it's going to be cold, especially if you're coming in the winter or late fall. One other thing to keep in mind, this is actually the second time we've tried to do this hike. The first time we drove all the way to the trailhead. It's like 10 miles of off-road getting to this trailhead, and there were 50 to 70 cars here, and we had to turn around and go back just because we didn't want to hike with that many people on a weekend. So if you have the option to come here on a weekday, totally take it. Chances are you're gonna have a much better time.
The hike starts out with some pretty gradual uphill, but you'll find switchbacks soon and they keep going for the rest of the way up. Also be aware that there are several intersections in the trail, like the hike to Long's Pass, that you might want to check out if you have some extra time, but stay on Ingalls Way Trail if you want to get to Lake Ingalls.
Hey, so we're almost to the top of Ingalls Pass. You can actually see the point where you start going down from where I'm standing right here. But we decided to stop because from here you can see Mount Rainier right behind me in between those two mountains right there. And you can also see Mount Adams to the east, faintly.
If you're into hikes with great views the whole way up, this is definitely a good option because the limited number of trees makes the views down the valley incredible. So one of the reasons this is my favorite hike in Washington State that I've ever been on is when you climb up, you get to Ingalls Pass, you don't see Mount Stewart the entire climb up. Once you're at the top, you turn around one corner and it just is there. And it is one of the most magnificent things you can see in the Snoqualmie region.
So Lake Ingalls is a very popular hike in the fall in the Pacific Northwest because it's a great place to go to watch the larches turn. But just be aware, in the peak season, which is the fall for the larches and the spring for wildflowers, there's going to be a lot of people on the trail. When you're hiking in this area, it's very common to run into some wildlife, so just keep your eyes open and you might see some mountain goats because they're very common to the area.
Once you're on the other side of the pass, there's two trails you could take. One kind of stays high and one is lower down in the valley. They both converge at this sign, so be looking for that. Also be looking for these stacks of rocks which mark the trail when there isn't really a trail on the ground to follow.
Hey guys, so we finally made it to Lake Ingalls. You can see it right behind me, as well as Mount Stewart, which is one of my favorite mountains in the Cascade Range, and you get an amazing view of it from here. So I definitely recommend you do this hike, even though we rated it is hard, because there's it's easy to lose the trail, and you're kind of climbing over a lot of boulders on the last mile or so of the hike. But it's still manageable, even if you don't have a lot of hiking experience. I just recommend bringing someone with you who has kind of an idea of what they're doing, so you don't lose the trail or anything. But I really recommend it, and I really think you should do this hike because it's an amazing hike.
Well, we're on our way back down from Lake Ingalls. It's just over that ridge there. A couple tips that we want you to know specific to this hike. First of all, this is the trail that we're on right now. As you can see, it's kind of a rock climb scramble getting up the last quarter mile, so be prepared for that. Also, because there's so many rocks around, you can't really see where the trail's going. That's why you have to look for the cairns. Cairns are stacks of rocks. Usually there's about 3 to 5 rocks stacked by humans, and that's how you know where the trail is when you can't follow it with your eyes. Other than that, just make sure you have a partner with you if you go on this hike, especially if you're a first-time, early, still beginner hiker. Have someone with you, so if you did get hurt, you'd have help there. We hope you enjoyed the video we made at Lake Ingalls.
We post a new video every Monday and Thursday, so be sure to check out more of our content.